Good morning, everyone. This is Jeffe Kennedy, author of Epic Fantasy Romance. I'm here with my first cup of coffee. Ah, delicious. It's especially delicious today. I don't know why. Perfect. Today is Monday, June 24th, last week of June. How these things happen, I don't know. Uh, time, the relentless march of time, yes. But things are good here. I hope things are good with all of you. Um, I'm trying to think of what I have to report. I did not make any notes today, but Dude had a few things to talk about, I suppose. First off, report on Reluctant Wizard. I did cover reveal, as you know. The pre-order links are up. Thanks to all of you who immediately pre-ordered. You warmed my heart. Pre-ordering physical copies, pre-ordering ebooks from the website. If you do want to pre-order a print copy, you can do it from the website, not for the person in Canada. I'm sorry. But as soon as I can do a print pre-order, I will. Most of the retail sites won't let you do that. I was just looking to see if I could maybe do it on draft to digital, and then I thought, well, I shouldn't go down that rabbit hole in the middle of my podcast, right? So I've made myself a note to check that. Most of the retail sites won't let you set up pre-orders on print books. I don't know why. But I am making progress on Reluctant Wizard. I'm feeling good about it. It's finally kicking in, as lately it seems to be doing for me around midpoint. I'm past 42,000 words. I'm anticipating that this book will come out somewhere around 87. What did it say here? 676 is my current prediction. And yeah, so last week was better, thank goodness, productivity wise. Sometimes it just takes time to get these things back up there. It was the best word count week that I have had since the end of February. Saliently, since my stepfather died. Um, I've been encouraged to stop saying things like that. He inconveniently dropped dead under my hands. This is how I handle things, people. Um, yeah. So I do feel as if I'm emerging from a fog. My mom is still pretty sad. She really misses him. I really miss him. Um, seeing the pictures go by. Ah. So anyway, it does feel good to get this book going. I'm really excited to write the next book in the follow-up to Never the Roses, which I think my working title is going to be A Rose in the Mirror. Um, at least I should, let me walk that back. That is my working title. That's what I have put on my spreadsheets and so forth. And that story is patiently waiting. I really want to write it, but it's waiting. I have been sending out requests for endorsement quotes, as I mentioned last week. And yes, I hear you when you say it's really hard not to have those negative thoughts, to be thinking that the reason people haven't gotten back to you is because they actually hate you. The thing about negative self-talk, one of the best things I ever heard about it is, best pieces of advice, I guess, is this something that you would say to your best friend, to the person that you love most in the world? And if it isn't, then you shouldn't say it to yourself. Okay. So I think all of those things are in order. I had a lovely weekend. I did get to go to a party on Saturday night, a solstice party at George R.R. Martin's house, and I posted some pictures to social media. His gardens, people. His gardens are amazing. And I was teasing George. I asked him if he did all the work himself, and he was like, no. Um, many of you know I love to garden. And so it's one of those, I'm torn on it that I kind of want to make it an author goal to have a professional gardener, except I also love to garden. Um, but I really have garden envy now. His gardens are so freaking beautiful. He's got tons of delphiniums, and I don't know why my delphiniums aren't growing the way I want to. I think I need irrigation. Where I live, I need to put in irrigation. So I should probably just put that on my list of expensive things that I want to have and cannot yet have. I think that would be cheaper than hiring a gardener, right? And this winter, I really did try. I was really diligent about watering through the winter, which everybody here says you have to do. But I've still got these big bare patches in my garden, and I plant things there, and they don't come back. That I don't know what all's going on there. Um, I need like a master gardener advice or something like that, or get diligent about doing my research. I don't know. Everybody says that the secret garden is pretty. Sneeze, but it just doesn't look like George's gardens. But then I don't have George's money. Wouldn't that be nice? So anyway, it was a great party. It was really lovely. On Facebook, one person commented, I thought it was semi snarky, and then it was confirmed it because someone else replied. But she's someone I think I've only ever talked to on the internet, and so perhaps slightly awkward socially. But she said something like, "Way to drop the information that you're buds with George R. R. Martin." And someone else replied for me, Richard Mann, who is the photographer who took my headshots. He does the photography for SIFWA. And he said, well, I think he even said Miss Kennedy. I don't know if he said Jeffy, but he said she's been writing a long time. She's the president of SIFWA, and she lives in the same town as George. It would be strange if they did not know each other. And I thought that was just really nice of him to step in and say that. So he got points in my book for doing that. And, yeah. And besides, George is, yeah, he's got money and he's got fame, but I feel like it's an ongoing theme here at First Cup of Coffee that we talk about this, right? That he is also a writer. He is a guy who's a writer. He writes fantasy. I write fantasy. We like talking writing. It's one thing that writers, we spend a lot of time by ourselves, and we like to get together and talk about our favorite topic, us and our work. And George is a very supportive person. He's made some missteps. The whole Worldcon thing was really unfortunate. For those who don't know, involved like mispronouncing some names, talking about, well, I won't go into the whole thing because really it wasn't fair. There were things that were fair about it, but it was particularly upsetting because they were mistakes, and George is not that guy. He is very, very supportive of women, of people of color. I'll be the first to criticize some of the rape-tastic stuff in his books, but George is just a really nice human being. And it was in part a birthday party for his wife, and they had hoop dancers there. And, George really gives back to the community. And it was a fabulous party. There were cupcakes. There was a Hawaiian shave ice machine. There was a bartender. It was fabulous. If you're on video, you might notice I have this bruise on my arm. I went to the doctor and had my blood drawn last week, and I think this bruise is from where she put the ligature on me. It's like, and it's sore, but I can't believe I have such a big bruise from it. All right, So the other thing I want to talk about is there was some brouhaha over the weekend because an agent at a very well established literary agency, shall we call out the name? I think we might as well. So this is interesting because I went to the website to verify. Her name is Hillary Harwell. Uh, and I'm going to say it here, formerly of KT Literary, because she is no longer listed on their website. I haven't seen if KT Literary made an announcement or anything like that. Hillary Harwell has since deleted her Twitter account. Uh, so I had a feeling that, in fact, I predicted yesterday, so I love this, in my private author discords, that she was going to get fired for this. What happened is that Hillary Harwell tweeted that she had gotten a query for a book that was this comp meets that comp, and she would love it if someone would write her that book. And people asked and said, wait a minute, but you got a query for a book on this? And she said, yes, but the opening wasn't strong enough. So basically what she did was she got a query for a book that she loved the premise, the theme, the idea, and then went on the internet and said she would love for some other writer to write that for her. So there's a number of levels to this. Yes, ideas can't be copyrighted. Victoria Strauss, who does Writer Beware for SIFWA, called it unfortunate, but said that ideas can't be copyrighted, and there's a reason for it, which is true. And we will always give the advice to each other, to younger writers, and so forth, that ideas are cheap. It's easy to have a good idea. What's difficult is to write it. Writing the story is where all of the skill and craft and creativity come in. So yeah, there was nothing illegal about what she did. Um, However, it was highly unethical, and it was really disrespectful of this author who queried her, because there is a lot of trust involved in that process. I'm trusting you with my baby book idea, and not to go throw it on the internet and say somebody else write this better, right? And when Hillary was initially called out by people for this, saying that this seemed like kind of a shitty thing to do, she kind of came back with that she was also an author, and so she understands what it's like. And uh, and it's like, well, do you though? Because this behavior doesn't seem to indicate that. And it does make me rethink some things, because there are really great ideas out there, right? And I've talked about it on here quite a lot. Let me know if you want me to talk about it again. But, like, how do you know that something's a good idea? Yes, it's in the execution, but there are also great ideas. Suzanne Collins coming up with Hunger Games, that was a great idea. There are other stories like that are simply really great ideas. And if it were not true that I'm feeling my way through this, if it were not true that ideas have power on their own, they might not be copyrightable, but if it were not true that a great book idea has a power of its own, then this kind of thing would not happen, right? And I talked a couple of weeks ago about the lawsuit against Entangled and against the agent for lifting a book and series idea and having someone else write it. this kind of thing does happen in the industry, unfortunately. Even though we promise you that you're safe sending out your ideas, I my own agent, a impeccable source, told me once that she had an editor who I will not name because T um, contacted her saying that she had tried to buy a book. Someone else had bought it, a different publisher had bought it, and she wondered if my agent had a client who would like to write the idea because she still wanted a book on that premise. And my agent was like, I don't know what she told the editor. She told me about it, and she's like, I'm not going to ask my clients to do that. It's it's shitty behavior. Uh, on the one hand, I will always tell you that, ideas come from everywhere. We get ideas from other work. It's not plagiarizing if you read something in a book that seems like an amazing idea and you want to riff on it. Um, it's not even illegal if you want to basically retell somebody else's story. But it does get into the ethics of the thing. And it's a small community. It really is. When you're a newbie author, it feels very big, and it's not. I mean, pretty much everybody knows everybody at some point. And, you know, being shitty to people, it'll come back around. It'll come back around. And I knew that as soon as I saw that, I knew that KT Literary would not want to keep this agent on because there is trust involved in this process. The agent author relationship is completely founded on trust. I often compare it to a marriage. Some people get mad at me and they're like, it's not like a marriage, it's a business relationship. And it's like, yeah, but marriage is kind of like a business relationship too. And there is an intimacy to the author agent relationship. So even just querying, you are trusting someone with that creative idea. And if the agent shows herself to be um, not respectful of that, then that's a problem. And KT Literary, I have immense respect for Kate, who founded it, and for Sarah Megabo, who's senior vice president there. And I knew that they would, not because of social media pressure. It would not be, oh, well, we can't afford this. I knew they would have a problem with the ethics of this. It was a betrayal of trust, and you can't have that. Um, and inevitably, there's always the person who comments on this and says, "This is why I never query my ideas because I don't want people to steal them." And the thing is, then okay, fine, but you can't go through life being worried about people stealing stuff from you. Uh, I'm not going to say it never happens. Obviously, it happens. And if you have a great idea, it's incumbent on you to write that thing. You got to get buckle down. You got to write it. Um, but you also, it's kind of like living in fear, right? You can't live your life in fear. People obviously do it, but you don't walk down the street being worried about being mugged every moment. uh, if you're getting over trauma, that's one thing, but otherwise, it comes to a point where you have to live your life, and living your life means that working with other people, trusting people with your ideas. Sort of circling back around to George, he doesn't have to have parties. He doesn't have to have the Hawaiian shave ice machine and the bartender and people there, and it wasn't so that everyone could pay attention to him. We all want and need community. So, and what I think what's important is yeah, people acted on that. They commented on that agent saying those things. They said, this isn't appropriate. And, it's up to us to make sure the community stays a good and safe place where we respect each other. On that note, I'm going to go get to work. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I will talk to you all. Oh! I do that sometimes on calls. I'm gesturing and I hit the wind chimes. Apologies there. I will talk to you all on Friday. You all take care. Bye bye.